Is my screen fully visible?
Yeah.
Namaste ji. This program is offered by Anadi Foundation. Anadi Foundation is a socio-spiritual organization founded in 2015, and we operate out of Parani, a beautiful rural setting in Tamil Nadu. Anadi as such means beginningless, that which has no beginning. And that which has no beginning is something that is the divine intelligence that has sustained through, that lives through everything. As a note to that is the name of this foundation. And we aspire to work with a lot of young people and create self-reliant, sustainable, and socially conscious living models for them. Our founders are Sri Adi Narayanan and Srimati Smriti Adi Narayanan. Smriti ji is here along with us in this talk. And this foundation as such was a product of a deep tapasya, as well as an integration of a culmination of more than a decade of experience in the academia. Adiji continues to even now serve as an adjunct faculty at the IIT Delhi, and Smriti ji as well teaches there. They are sound researchers in computer science, as well as they understand the Indian knowledge systems and the various frameworks that can help liberate young minds from very limited viewpoints as well. So to provide a few words about the vision of Lilavati Gurukulam, I invite Smriti ji to share a few words.
Namaste. To just briefly share my journey in computing. So I have an undergraduate degree in computer science. But then you know that many people go through college education and then come out with a lot of questions and a lot of doubts about their own skills. That's because many times a four-year degree does not provide the hands-on experience that one thirsts for. In school, you go through a few lab sessions, but then you really want to taste or get a hands-on experience on many of these dimensions. But unfortunately, what we've seen is that many students come out of four-year degree programs without that real experience of having developed software. And my journey was very similar. But then my real journey into computer science started when I actually started teaching computer science. I found that integrating a lot of I was working with Infosys for some time, and then I brought the industry experience into the classroom, and then that really helped. So when I blended the theoretical models with what is there available in real time, in the industry, that really made a difference in the way I was teaching. And that also differentiated my approach. And of course, my husband also has a rich industry experience, and he completed his MS in computer engineering from the US. So both of us brought a really practical experience in our lab classes. In fact, one of the works that we did was that we interviewed a lot of people in the industry, especially project managers, and asked them, what is the quality that you would like to see in the new fresh graduates that come to the projects? And then they gave a list of qualities. We also mapped it with what is there in the ACM guidelines. And then what we did was that we integrated those skills into our lab sessions, not just coding, but including values like, perseverance, because students would easily give up if they don't get a programming output. So it means that values, computing, and everything needs to be integrated. And as a computer science teacher, I always needed to be, abreast with technology. One cannot have outdated models there. So it means that there is a lot of, it's filled with a lot of challenges and of course opportunities as well. But one differentiating approach that I brought out in my own interactions was that a lot of focus on women in computing. I was part of the number of forums like the ACM Women in Computing, IEEE Women in Computing, and also we did a lot of workshops in collaboration with IBM, Cisco, and all that. And that was one of the main reasons we did that was that we found that when it comes to gender, there was not much difference in the ability to code or ability to program or ability to understand computer science. But when we notice that women often go to the industry and drop out after a few years, it could be because of reasons of family or finding it difficult to manage work and life, or I'm sorry, yeah, work and life. And it could also be because of various other social reasons why they don't climb up the computing ladder. So we created a lot of opportunities for these women students to understand the importance of computer science and also stay in the career for a longer period of time. And it did made a difference, did make a lot of lives of women. We organized large gatherings of women in computer, and each of them used to share how it was difficult even to participate in the gathering, given that they have a child at home, given that they have to do research, they have to do, whatever, industry of programming and all that. And so that is the reason we created these forums. And I also noticed that there is also some kind of a fear of programming. So what we did was that create these many initiatives that the young people would be out of fear of programming. But at the same time, what I also noticed is that technology keeps changing. Now we have AI, machine learning, and everything. And we need to be up to speed with these technologies. And very few courses offer that real experience. Of course, many universities abroad are doing it. Many top institutions in the country are doing it. But not all women or not all students get they get the access to such courses. And that is one of the reasons why we felt that we need to have a school of computing within our own foundation. Many of us being computer scientists. And we also felt that there are so many possibilities that exist in the real world where computing can be used to solve problems, be it climate change, be it economic issues, or be it social issues. There's a huge possibility for computer science to solve these problems. It could be through the medium of through data science, or it could be through simple web development. I've seen that, there are so many small, small organizations or small shops. They don't have a website, and there's so much scope for even web development for that matter. So there are umpteen number of use cases if one is empowered with computer science. But then this knowledge also has to be blended with values. And that is one of the reasons why we felt that the Lilavati School of Computing should blend values, should blend computer science, and should also be of relevance to the society. And of course, in modern times, we do see that Indian knowledge systems are picking up, are reviving to a very large extent. We do see that, for example, in today's times, given the COVID and all that, many people are adopting to yoga and Ayurveda in order to boost their immunity. Many people are looking at these as valid options for their own health, for their own mental health, physical health, cognitive health, and all that. And hence, there is a huge possibility for technology to be used in these domains as well. Many of the people at our foundation are very well trained in Sanskritam, very well trained in Indian knowledge systems like Ayurveda, Ganita, Yoga, and all that. And they are all tech savvy as well. So there is a huge possibility to integrate all these things, computer science and Indian knowledge systems. So this is what we envision for Lilavati School of Computing.
Many thanks, Matushi. The very definition of what a computer is has been quite changing these days. I mean, the promise of computing and studying computing right now lies in this very definition of what a computer is these days. Because when I've often asked children to close their eyes and imagine what a computer would be, typically they show us these three boxes, right? That's the three boxes that comes to the mind. But almost everything right now is a computer. A smartwatch is a computer, a phone is a computer, a fridge is a computer right now, an overhead projector is a computer. Now we have got glasses which can compute, we've got shoes which can compute, now we've got cars which can compute, because they themselves are a computer as well. So what's computer has become quite ubiquitous everywhere. It's all pervasive. And the kind of opportunities that are there while learning computer science is unparalleled right now, because it has become interdisciplinary. It has become an important cog of every discipline. So almost like earlier, when we talk about days when we need good communication skills or good design skills, no matter in what area we work with. Similarly, computer science has become very ubiquitous. This I realized through my journey as earlier as a computer science student, later having worked at TCS Innovation Labs and a few other research centers, including Amrita e-Learning Research Center. And then while constituting my own firm as well at EduSeva Technologies, I found that the opportunities that are there, both entrepreneurially as well as in the industry, are manifold increasing in computer science, because what is a computer has become quite different these days. And the emergence of artificial intelligence is a word that we have all heard so much in the last few years. What's really happened is there's a quest to see if computers can become a little more intelligent and in a way mimic some among our human capabilities. And these capabilities, right, that are classified as successful AI system are understanding human speech, advancing image recognition, game systems, self-driven cars, interpreting complex data, and so on. But the potential of integrating AI with Indian knowledge systems is quite humongous. See, we need artificial intelligence for speech recognition of all our Indian vernacular languages, for Sanskrit, etc. We need artificial intelligence for education, for learning assistance, and so on. We need artificial intelligence to do neuroscience-based studies. We need artificial intelligence in Sanskrit, in math, in bringing out various ancient Indian algorithms and testing them out. In astronomy, there's phenomenal scope to also use AI. When we look at computing power, what's possible today has become humongous. Right? The promise of computing, amidst all this, right? The fastest supercomputer is called K. It's in Japan. It's about the size of 5 football fields and can do huge number of operations per second. Because the human brain is just this small, right? It's the size of our 2 fists put together. The real capability in us, right, to compute is not just is in competition with machines these days. It's to look at how do we enhance human life using the power of automation and machines. The human mind doesn't have separate processors and memory programs. There are neurons in the brain, and thousands upon thousands of inputs we can process at a single time. You're listening to me, you're looking at your phone, you're looking at your device right now, you're looking at the green light blinking in it, you're looking at your screen, you can listen to the fan, you can process all this complex amount of data in the human brain. Whereas the fastest supercomputers can't do this kind of parallel programming, multi-sensory inputs, multiple processing that happens. So today, the pursuit in AI is to slowly see how do we make computers mimic a human brain? How do we create a neuronal interface? How do we create a surface that can simultaneously and independently process everything, right? When a ball comes at us, we catch the ball. And when we catch the ball, we don't do any differential calculus computations in our mind, right? We don't take a notebook and a pen. We don't quickly solve the equation, how the rate of projectile, how it's coming at us, how are we going to catch it? We're not really doing that, right? But we have this inherent sense of our mathematical ability to process, to learn how something would come at us. Now, this we are trying to mimic in machine learning and so on. Today, however, though we see the promise of this technology in movies and so on, our children of this nation have largely become consumers of technology, but not creators with technology. Now, can we create a new generation of children who can imagine solutions that are very valuable, not just entertainment-oriented solutions, not just going into entertainment or a gaming industry, but to create solutions that are based on emerging principles in computer science, but that can solve the real problems of this society. Let's look at Ayurveda. Ayurveda's solution for primary healthcare is unparalleled when you compare it to various other models of health. Can we create and study the brain much better to understand emotional intelligence, to understand how various aspects of our manas chitta buddhi works based on Indian frameworks, but through modern neuroscience programs and computer science. So these are very emerging and interesting areas to work on. So what does it take to develop this kind of computational thinking that we can have a mindset to solve various problems that we don't even know right now? See, when I studied my engineering, there was no definition of a data scientist at that point in time. Today, I'm a data scientist, but I would have never imagined during my time of study that I would be a data scientist. So we are all preparing for a career or an entrepreneurial path in a space where our children really don't know what is going to be the emergent condition of that time when they grew up. So what are some among the things that we should, if the language is changing, if the medium is changing, obviously the computing constructs will change. But what should one develop to become very successful in computing, in developing computational thinking, is to develop a set of overall faculties to solve problems through computing. One has to develop what's called as algorithmic thinking. When you look at a real world data, when you look at cricket, let's say we look at an umpire, what is the job is he doing? There's something called leg before wicket in cricket. It's called LBW. It's very tough to judge. Now, how do I make a computer do that? How do I look at probabilistic calculation? So I love to break down what a human being does into a set of steps called the algorithm. How do you break it down into an algorithm? Is a question, is an art in itself. Right? It's something that we can acquire over time, slowly. Similarly, programming skills. Now, these days, the expectation in programming skills is not to know a particular programming language, but to have this inherent capability to learn programming no matter what the language that we come across, because languages will often change. So even in human languages, right? What qualifies one as an excellent communicator? It's one's ability to communicate with no matter who the person is in front of. Right? In our foundation, we have close to 13-14 cows. We are in constant communication with them too. And then there are certain communication experts. Mohanaji? Yeah. So these are some among the facets, right, that we have to develop. Programming skills, a creative mindset. How do you approach a problem? And then a yearning to solve problems that are very impactful and valuable in this society. And an inclination to learn interdisciplinary areas. So computer science is not just about computer programming anymore. It's about knowing a game of cricket, or it's about knowing the functioning of a heart to create cardiovascular sensors, right? Or to understand physics and then also integrate them. Now, having all this, what's very important is that we need to also be rooted in values. That's when we'll be empathetic towards employing what we know or what we have learned for the benefit of everybody. And also, our knowledge system is not something computer science didn't emerge today. Now we'll show you in later slides. Well, we'll know that we belong to a continuum, a tradition in the knowledge system. The state of women in computing right now, if you look at it, as Matushi was sharing earlier, as Smriti was sharing a bit before. Now, what's happened is that the IT industry seems to definitely be a preference for women to work in. But what's happening is that there are clear data that indicates that after the first 5 years, there's sort of a burnout, or there are other challenges in life that the work life of the IT industry or the career prospects in an IT industry are not so attractive or inspiring for women. So there is a great amount of attrition after 5 years in the job. But the startup ecosystem in India is fledgling. So many ideas. As we speak right now, the semiconductor conference, Semicon, is about to begin in Bengaluru, where humongous numbers of young minds are gathering together to see how do we get into the semiconductor industry. But when we look at data, only 6% of our total investments are in startups where women are co-founding them or founding them. And a recent study by Facebook has also revealed that 4 out of 5 women in India want to start their own business. They want to be independent. The flexibility that a self-driven business can bring to you is something that they are yearning for. Whereas what's stopping us with a huge potential, a huge ocean of potential in computer science, there are different obstacles that women face right now, such as gender bias, investor notions about if they must invest or not, lack of role models, and so on. Whereas the significance of teaching, of bringing computing to women, has been also proven by research very well. Research has shown that women want to make, the thing that they are truly driven by is that they want to make a difference in the world. The motivation that drives us defines who we are, right? It defines our mindset. It defines our view. We have gone and we have surveyed so many children across so many colleges. We ask, what's your motivation to come to school or to a college? What do you think they would have said? In fact, there is something that really, really surprised me when we asked this question to many children, is that people wanted to come to a college to have a good time. I want to come to a college to have a good time is the number one answer that they gave. The number two answer was, job prospects. I've come here to do a job or find a job. Will these two ambitions will make college life ever happy? It won't, because you want to come and be happy. You want to have a jolly good time in college. Well, you can't do that. You are expected to study rigorously, even more so than you did in your younger ages. So you'll have a huge dissonance, and that won't be a happy experience. If one enrolled in a college for a career, if one enrolled in a college to get a good job, then in college, in an engineering course, you will go through all kinds of courses. You will have chemistry, you'll have engineering mathematics, you'll have engineering drawing, you will have mechanics, fluid dynamics, and then you'll be constantly questioning, why did I choose this course? Why did my parents make me choose engineering? What will this give me a job tomorrow? Will knowing engineering diagram, give me engineering drawing, give me job tomorrow? Will knowing physics give me job tomorrow? Why should I study physics? Be the question that one would constantly face. But what would really motivate people is coming there for the joy of study. When will there be joy in learning? When you know how to apply it. And applying it where? Not just in your sphere, applying it in a place. Today, there are 2 billion Android users. If you can create an app that will be beneficial to even a small size of it, tomorrow you can impact 1 million people. That's the potential of computer science. And amongst gender, especially women, research has shown that what will give them satisfaction is if they can make a difference in the world. In whatever they define their world to be, they have all the freedom to define what the world is for them. Similarly, the American Association of University for Women has found that in research that women place a higher value on careers that involve helping and working with other people. This we intrinsically know, right? This research is very true. Why is the population, we have this huge amount of women nurses, women teachers in this country. It's a job where they find immense fulfillment. So that's why a lot of leading colleges in the US, like the Harvard and the Dartmouth, who all research on how to create various pedagogies, they focus on creating a computer science curriculum that's totally problem-solving centric. Not a typical, class where they teach you coding, you do this program, and then you'll have to find out the weights of something. Not that. They created a pedagogy where women could solve problems through learning computer science. That created a huge impact on the course. And these women are right now change makers everywhere. So inspired by all this, if we need to create technologies for dharma in this world, it can emerge only through Stri Shakti. Is the insight that we have had through various programs that we have done, and hence culmination of all this is creation of this beautiful Gurukulam called the Lilavati Gurukulam. The focus of Lilavati Gurukulam is that we want to create a 3-year undergraduate program in computer science. Children have 2 main opportunities right now to do this distance education program. They can do it in certain reputed universities such as Amrita University and so on, where we have had a long relationship with that university as well. Or we can also do it in IIT Madras. provided we take a 6-week period, we train you on a few things, and then there is an exam that you must clear, and the child can do a 3-year UG program directly in IIT Madras through distance mode from here, from the foundation. Well, why did we design such a program? This is a Gurukulam. The principle of Gurukulam is that the teacher and the taught live together, learn together, and work together till they achieve mastery. That's the essence of Gurukulam. So we wanted to create a lot of people here are, past IITians, are present IITians, volunteers at different places, have humongous industry experience and so on. We want to create a highly accelerated program where children can joyously and at ease learn many of these principles by living together. And so we write all the exams in distance mode through either to few reputed universities like Amrita University or to IIT Madras and so on. So that you complete your course in a distance mode, but you work with industry experts and cutting edge research labs while we do this. Also, we think that very essential in education is developing values in children. Samskaras are repeated practices of excellence. Through these samskaras, one can attain mastery in juggling multiple things and also being an offering of onto others by their just living on this planet. Through seva, sadhana, excellent, niyamas, through yogic sadhana, and also through Indian traditional values, we want to see how we can bring back some of the fundamental values of this land: empathy, identification with a larger family as the Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam, relating to other beings, understanding that we and this planet are one, a single mother, and we are all children of this mother. If so, how should the conduct of life be? That's where Panchamaha come into place. And looking at Indian frameworks that would enrich us, not cripple us, but enrich us and enlighten us for a field of greater action. We want to also focus on bringing exceptional managerial skills in women. We think that women, and we know this in our ashram, wonderful, different, women taking important roles in our foundation. And we see that their managerial skills are a notch above everybody else in the system. And so we want to create learning people thing is warning me that your internet connection is unstable. Are you able to hear me clearly?
Now it's okay.
Okay. Hence, Lilavati Gurukulam is a culmination of these three things: high quality computer science education, exposure to Indian knowledge systems, and exposure to Indian values. What can this blend give? It can give rise to exciting areas of research. Today, we work on projects that include Ayurveda and artificial intelligence. We work on yogic neuroscience. See, the world right now knows the benefits of yogas in terms of health. Now, a lot more study is needed for mental health and yoga, because the very notion of what a brain is only right now still emerging. It's still emerging science in biology, as our understanding of this as an electromagnetic field, but not as an organ, has just now developed very well. So in the intersection of neuroscience and machine learning, we do a lot of sleep studies. We do yogic nidra studies. We do studies where looking at what kind of interventions will peak one's performance, awareness, how conscious we are about various processes and so on. All this cutting edge research is possible only in the intersection of computer science and ancient knowledge systems. Similarly, Sanskrit and natural language processing. You might have all heard this, right? Google got its name from Google, which really meant 1 followed by 100 zeros, a number in Sanskrit. Even now, various computational constructs are credited to Panini and various, format and a grammar of that language of Sanskrit has been a huge inspiration for grammar of programming languages and so on. Similarly, Indian astronomy. Our Indian well-designed mathematical algorithms. How do they work? How do we make it work? In fact, when we implement certain algorithms in Indian astronomy, without a GPS, we'll be with just light sensors, we'll be able to say our latitude and longitude. All that is a promise in Indian astronomy, intersection of Indian astronomy and math and computer science. Similarly, Ganita and computational thinking and so on, all this is quite possible, these exciting areas of research. But how did we name this Gurukulam Lilavati? Well, Lilavati is inspired by the name of Bhaskaracharya, a great Indian mathematician's daughter called Lilavati. What Bhaskaracharya does in 1114 CE is he has written a book called Lilavati, which became very, very popular in India. It was the most sought after maths book in all Gurukulams in India, and not just in India, in Middle East Asian countries, where they, Faizi was commissioned by Akbar to completely translate this, and that became the textbook of mathematics in various Middle Eastern countries and kingdoms. Similarly, in Egypt, manuscripts are found. In Southeast Asian countries, in Japan, manuscripts of Lilavati are found, and it was the sought after book to teach mathematics. But who was this Lilavati? She was just the 9-year-old daughter of Bhaskaracharya, and Bhaskaracharya asked many questions as puzzles to Lilavati, and that puzzles are brought together as a mathematics book that teaches both principles and answers. Just 9-year-old daughter, and see what kind of problems she has solved. She has solved problems like this. There is a verse in Lilavati that goes like this: Patah karnavadhaya marganaganam kruddhorane sandadhe tasyardhena nivarya tacharaganam mulaishchaturbhirhayan shalyam shadbihi. What's happening? Partha is doing karnavada and he is employing X number of arrows. Okay. Partha is doing karnavada. From his quiver, he's using X number of arrows and he's sending out vectors of arrows. Among them, tasya, ardhena, nivarya, half of it is used for defense. Then mulaish chaturbir hayan, 4 root X is used to tackle the horses of Shalya, the chariot. 6 are used to immobilize Shalya. Then 3, one for Chatram, Dvajam and Karbugam. Chatram is the umbrella, Dvajam is the flag, Karmukam is the bow of Karna, Gandiva is the bow of Arjuna, Karmukam is the bow of Karna. Chichedasya, finally one aimed at the head of Karna. Tell me totally how many arrows did Arjuna employ? Now this is a quadratic equation. To solve this today in 10th standard, we learn some formula, minus b plus or minus root of b square minus 4ac. All this we study right now in modern mathematics. This a 9-year-old child was taught. Our ancient Indian knowledge systems were very, very sound, without which we could not be the biggest contributor to world's GDP for 17 centuries. Now, this is a study done by Angus Madison. What is this study saying? Saying that India was the topmost contributor to world's GDP until the 17th century, after which our invasions came forth and then destroyed the knowledge systems and the educational ecosystems of this country. If not for which, our growth would have been certain. We were phenomenal and world leaders in all these sciences. In astronomy, we were world number 1. In medicinal sciences, we had huge population and we managed it all with our ancient knowledge systems in medicine. Mathematical sciences. India is where calculus was born. India is not just where zero was discovered. Aryabhatta gave the differential form of, sine function in 5th century. Okay. All this, is a rich tradition. We are not having access to it in the modern education system. So, agricultural practices. Thousands and thousands of years on the same land, agriculture has happened. How? Without good scientific thinking, it would never be possible. Psychological sciences. In chemical, in metallurgy, think about this rustless, iron pillars of India. The wood steel from which the Damascus swords were made. Our chemical engineering expertise was excellent in the world. Our spiritual sciences, we are the world leaders, we are the Vishwaguru in all these dimensions. Our shipbuilding was unparalleled, and iron and steel technologies, casting statues, construction of temples and town planning, textile manufacturing, water harvesting, unparalleled excellence in all these dimensions. We belong to a continuum of this tradition. It won't take much time for us to turn this curve back again if we invest in technologies and we study and become world leaders and also draw from our ancient systems in terms of values. All these complex problems and these traditions that we belong to, we can take it forward. For Bharat to be Vishwaguru, it is important that we focus on high quality research and education in various fields of science and technology today. And because women can not just solve their problem, but solve and have the tendency to help others and solve problems around them in their society, they can become the transformational fabric of this nation. So to them, we offer this Lilavati Gurukulam. Skanda Purana says that Dashaputra Samakanya Dashaputran Pravardhayan. It says that a daughter is equal to 10 sons. This is what our ancient, whatever phala, whatever merits a person attains by siring or upbringing a son, the same phala can be attained 10 times, by getting just a single daughter. Now, this is not just hyperbole. It works in education. We have seen this time and again. We have been educating children for more than close to 2 decades right now. In that, we are very clear that the true transformation and the true transfer of knowledge happens when we invest in women children. That's why Lilavati Gurukulam is envisioned as a space of knowledge, values, and fulfillment exclusively dedicated for women. With this, I'll stop my presentation.
So I wanted to understand what would be the eligibility criteria and what would be the selection process for this.
The eligibility criteria is that the child can pass in the 12th standard in any background, in any of the groups. And then we do a one-on-one interview with the child, and then we select. And we look at merit and need as the basis for this. And we also especially look at what's their, what are they intending towards in their life, what's their possible aptitude. And then we also do Indian frameworks of analysis. We look at what's the swabhava of the child. And we try to see if this, if they can take up computing as their swadharma. So
okay. Sure. Thank you so much. Also, I wanted to understand about the scholarship part. So if you can elaborate more on what would be the qualification required for the scholarship, and plus would it cover the full scholarship, even the residential cost would be covered in that scholarship? So if you can elaborate more on that thing.
Matush.
So as of now, the way we are envisioning is that students who come to the Gurukulam, we will try to make the boarding and lodging free of cost. At least some part of the program, depending on which program they enroll, that they might have to bear, but we're looking at if there is some kind of a CSR that we can raise so that even that can be waived. So as of now, we want to keep it as low as possible, and if possible, no cost for the students, depending on their economic background.
Sure. Thank you, Smriti ji. Also, I wanted to understand what would be the next step, and when would the whole selection process start, and how do the students apply for this course?
So there is a interest form that is there on the website, which we will pass on the link. Probably they could fill that form, and then we will get back to them on the phone numbers, or if it is going to be, since you have a group of students, it can also be a group interview or discussion with them. And one thing that we've always done with respect to the Dharma Gurukulam is an interaction with the parents. So, that we'd also be happy to interact with the parents, because, they are the ones, especially with respect to, school children's education, they are the decision makers. So we felt that also they also need to understand our background and the value system that is available here. which will help them to make a decision. So that will be the next step, filling the form and then having an interaction with these children, parents. And if somebody is coordinating from your side, then that person can also be there.
Sure. And when do you feel the session would start? When would be the starting? Yeah.
No, in fact, if the admission process and everything is over, they need not wait for the course to start. They can, this can be even started in July, depending on how they are sort of admitting these programs, these distance education and online programs. I think the classes are starting somewhere in August and September. But these children can, once they get admission into those programs, they can come here in July itself, so that they can get sort of accustomed and acclimatized in the environment, and then they can start their course work from here.
Okay. Also, one last question. So because this would be the first batch, I feel, for this kind of curriculum, so I wanted to understand more about the placement part and what kind of support the institute would provide to help the students with the corporate connections.
Yes. So at the moment, what I can say is that we are connected to good number of research labs that work in the intersection of IKS and computing and all that. So that is definite a possibility. And there is also a possibility of being absorbed in the environment, at our own environment itself, because we have a lot of projects, in computing. These are a couple of things that I'm able to think of. And of course, because of our past profile in terms of, I was a professor of computer science at Amrita University. And also I was an exchange faculty at University of L'Aquila in Italy. So we have a few connections that we can leverage upon, though, we cannot say anything immediately, but definitely all these people are available to help.